calling all stations. Clear the air lanes, clear all air lanes for the big broadcast.
Hello everyone, I'm Bill Worster, aka Zazubaar, if that's your thing. It's the Sons of Serizawa podcast. Ooh, I have no idea what episode number it is. Maybe episode 90? Maybe 91. It's one of those. It's somewhere in that vague area. Dylan McCandless, Super DM64, he's here.
You were doing so well lately about knowing the episode numbers.
I know, but we haven't done this show in like 2 weeks plus a few days. My brain, it's it almost fell out of my head, for God's sake. I mean,
you've let down your country. No, it's actually 82. You're like way off.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Boy. Don't do drugs, kids. Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir, he's here as well.
Hello, people of the internet.
Sounded so depressed there. Great. David Joshua Hernandez wanted to be here. He really did, but he had to foresee to unforeseen circumstances. So he wasn't able to join us, and this was already delayed, so we decided not to delay it any further. So here we are to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. But Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir, as always, likes to take the lead on all the stuff that we have to discuss, as he tries to make us care about a whole bunch of shit. So, Andres Perez, try to make us care about a whole bunch of shit. Here you go.
Okay, all right. So to start off with the most depressing news, it is the unfortunate passing of Batman 66 actor Adam West. As we all know, he was in the beloved TV show. He has been perhaps one of the best portrayals of Batman, according to many people, as well as their first exposure to the Dark Knight, always referring to himself as the Bright Knight. Since then, he has appeared in other works, but has mostly stuck to the Batman franchise for a long time. He was the voice of the Grey Ghost in Batman TAS. He was Batbot in an episode of Batman: The Brave and the Bold. He was in like a reunion movie with Burt Ward and several other actors in, what was it called? Adam West and Burt Reynolds Return to the Burt Reynolds. Burt Ward,
that would have been a very different movie.
Wow, that would have been great. A team up Batman, Smokey and the Bandit movie. Holy shit! Yeah. Sign me the fuck up.
Sorry, Burt Ward in Return to the Batcave, and of course in last year's animated direct-to-video film, Batman: Return of the Caped Crusaders. And he passed away on June 9th, 2017, in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 88, after having briefly suffered from leukemia.
I had no idea he had leukemia. That was a shock to me. I mean, oftentimes these actors and celebrities will battle this stuff in private, and then it gets revealed later, which, I mean, that's very understandable. You don't want to be like, hey, I've got cancer, so just deal with it.
From what I understand, it was a very short battle with leukemia, so it may have just been one of those things where he got it and was immediately like, well, I'm too old to fight this, and then just sort of died, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It probably didn't take a whole lot of time. I don't know that for sure, but that's just the impression that I got. I'm glad that Andres mentioned the episode of Batman TAS in which he played the Grey Ghost. That's probably one of my favorite episodes of that show, and I don't think it gets mentioned enough.
I don't think the episode of Batbot, well, the episode where he played Batbot in Batman: Brave and the Bold is mentioned nearly enough.
I didn't watch Brave and the Bold.
That show is awesome, and that episode in particular is really good.
He's made like tons of episodes. Often he's done tons of voice work, usually as himself or a parody of himself in shows like The Simpsons, Futurama, Rugrats, The Critics, Kim Possible, Johnny Bravo, and The Fairly Odd Parents.
And Family Guy, obviously, is the big
one.
one.
Family Guy, where he played a recurring character in the form of Mayor Adam West.
Yes.
God, I mean, that's... That character being lost is another just like massive blow to modern pop culture.
And he ended up actually, the character of Mayor Adam West ended up marrying Lois's sister.
Oh wow!
I think my my first exposure to like being aware of who TV's Adam West as a person was on Fairly Odd Parents.
Me too. Yeah.
Which he was always
Adam West. Where?
Yeah, where he was always referred to not as Adam West, but as TV's Adam West, a tradition which I carry on.
Yeah. I mean,
remember they did before that. I remember watching an episode of the episode of Kim Possible, where he played as a parody of Batman, which was like something like Ferret, the fearsome ferret or something, and Ron Stoppable ended up becoming the next generation of the fearsome ferret in a parody of Batman Beyond.
Now, he didn't actually do the voice for Batman in any of the cartoons that were out in the 60s and 70s, did he? Like when
he did.
Scooby-Doo
there was a Super Friends sequel. That's a great lead-in, where he did voice Batman. Yeah.
Okay. I always knew that it was the same voice actor who did Shaggy, who would normally be doing Casey Kasem. He would normally do Robin.
Yeah,
Casey Kasem, yeah, he did Robin and Shaggy.
Past recurring character on the show.
Yeah. Casey Kasem here, reminding you that I was Robin and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go back to being dead.
Oof. Well, listen, I on that note, I was really saddened by this one. This was one of those celebrity deaths where you're like, this is a pillar of pop culture. This is a staple of reality being removed.
You never thought he would actually die. You never thought he would actually die because he's been around for so long.
TV's Adam West is a great description for him because he defined a medium and a genre and a character as much as those things defined him, and he was so happy and seemed to really embrace those connections, especially later in life. His charm and charisma always just like infected you and everybody around him. So I mean, Jesus Christ, I mean it's a big hit.
I think the reason it's one of the reasons it's so impactful is that for Batman fans, it's kind of a new experience. Everybody since Keaton is still alive. And the two guys from the 40s have been dead, but not enough people remember that to care.
One of them had cigarettes in his fucking bat suit on set in one of the movies. Fuck him, he deserves to be dead. No, I'm kidding.
Talk about remember, kids, smoking is bad. Only winners don't use drugs.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I mean,
him and fucking Cesar Romero didn't even have the decency to shave his fucking mustache. No, but yeah, in a way, this is kind of the first time a Batman has died that we're all like super aware of.
Interesting.
I imagine there will be a very similar thing to happen whichever guy from the 90s dies first. Place your bets.
Remember, it reminds me of this piece of fan art where someone photoshopped Adam West Batman shaking hands with Christopher Reeve Superman in heaven.
Oh God, that's sad. I mean, very, very, very like inspiring, but very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Another one is
it's like
him.
when Harold Ramis passed away. That's one of the Ghostbusters. Like it's a big hit.
Yeah.
He was one of the definitive parts of Ghostbusters. And this is one of like the definitive part of Batman and superhero lore. Like this was the first thing that went superheroes, and people were like, "Oh yeah."
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
really.
He
it was
probably
that. One of the first, you could say it was one of the first successful live-action adaptations of a superhero comic.
Everything before that, like, practically unwatchable. Batman 66, I love that movie. Like, that movie was the thing that I saw when I was a kid that made me go, oh my God, this guy's brilliant. I loved that movie.
Yeah.
And the show I didn't see until later in life, and it didn't hit me as hard as the movie did when I was a kid. I should go back to it now. That I've discovered that drugs aren't just for non-winners. I think that the intelligence and the satire and the comedy of that show is something that his legacy will always be attached to and will endure, you know? And I think that that's great. And I think that, you know, guys like us will have to do our best to make sure that it lives on.
Until just recently, whenever somebody went to parody Batman, this was the version of Batman that they would go to. I mean, now you see a lot more parodies.
The darker version has become popular now, yeah.
As the thing to parody, but I mean, the Adam West version of Batman has been the subject of great parody over the years. There was a recurring bit on SNL back in the day, the ambiguously gay duo, that was pretty much just a big riff on Batman and Robin's relationship. That's the first example that springs to mind. There are plenty of others.
And everyone always copies the bam, pow, boom, old good work, old chum style, superhero style of the TV show.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It defines.
I mean nowadays you can't use bam, pow without thinking of the show.
It defines superherodom, you know, on-screen superheroism.
You know who could get away with it? I'd love to see a little bam, pow in a Deadpool movie.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, they had the little
bang, bang,
at the beginning of the first movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fucking great.
I do want to say that for many people who pass away, there are many people in this life who pass away at a very unfortunately pass away at a very young age. And we always wonder, like, what could he or she have done had they lived longer? Or you kind of like with Harold Ramis, we always wanted to see that third Ghostbusters movie, and we always wanted to see him return to the role just one last time. And I feel like we were able to get...
he would have been the one that would have probably made it good.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that it's like, oh, Dan Aykroyd sucks. I'm like, no, but Harold Ramis is like, he was... Those two together are what made all the Ghostbusters stuff in the past work, including that PS3 game. They wrote that, and that's fucking awesome. So, thank God we had that, like a couple of years before he passed away, because that was a really good kind of send-off for their version.
Mm-hmm. There have been, I'm pretty sure there are other examples that I can't think of right off the bat. Off the top of my head, where it's what could have happened had he or she did this one thing just one more time. And I feel like we got the most out of Adam West over his life, and I feel like he's made the most.
Yeah, he was good. We can
out
slap his
career.
ass off into the sunset now. No, I'm getting. I know what you mean. I don't mean to.
That is the general
consensus.
Yeah, I mean, not only did he had one, but two. He had the chance to live long enough to have two reunion specials with Return to the Batcave and the animated movie from last year.
Didn't they record the dialogue for another one as well? So isn't that just
I'm not sure about that. That's what I wanted to ask you guys about, because they did announce it as soon as the first one was released, when they said that William Shatner was going to be the voice of Two-Face, but I'm not sure if they already finished it or not. Although it's been a year, so I'm going to assume that was the case.
I'm sure if not, they could probably find somebody who does like a decent Adam West impression. You know.
See, but even if they go to that route,
that's sort of tribute.
Even if they go that route, how long do you have to wait? Like, you know, like is that like, or will they do it right away as a tribute? Like, I think that's a line they're going to have to try and walk.
It would be, they would have to sell as a tribute. I mean, look what happened when Michael Jackson passed away and they released This Is It.
Yeah, but that would be a different thing. Like, that would be like if they did the tour after he died with somebody else as Michael Jackson.
Uh-huh.
They wouldn't even have to deal. They could do a hologram. They've done that with Tupac.
What you're saying? They do like a live stage version of it with Adam West hologram?
No, I was talking about your Michael Jackson example. They wouldn't even necessarily have to have had MJ. Like,
I think that would have been more. That would have been better than what. That would have been less maybe offensive to the memory than how some people might interpret. I'm not saying us. Somebody doing an Adam West impression in an animated movie that's set in the 66 canon. You know, obviously you can do something like Brave and the Bold that's just kind of inspired by it and nobody will care. But if you just do like, oh, this is the 66 canon, people might go like, oh, it's too soon. He just passed away. Don't tread in those memories. You know, I wouldn't feel that way. I'd be like, oh, this is great. And
Yeah, he wanted to do this. I'm sure he wanted to see it released.
probably
Otherwise,
I mean, he would have loved it. But I'm saying that they're gonna be, you know, DC. I'm saying will be concerned about that reaction. So
Is the Batman 66 comic book series still going on? I wonder if they're going to address this in any way.
I'm pretty sure. I think the Wonder Woman crossover is going on right now.
Oh, are they doing a Wonder Woman 73? That's nice. That's a good idea.
This actually might be the second one, potentially.
Would you? Speaking of which, wouldn't it be cool if they were to interact with like a past version, like maybe like the George Reeves Superman?
I feel like we might be building to a Chris Reeves Superman crossover, only because the Wonder Woman TV show was in the 70s, so I mean, obviously they're not concerned about crossing that kind of decade gap.
Or what about George Reeves, because he's also television?
No, I get that, but I say you do Christopher Reeve because I like him better.
Okay.
If Chris Reeves is in continuity with anybody, it's fucking Batman and Robin.
I was gonna say Supergirl.
Oh well, sure.
No. George Clooney is the name that I was fishing for.
Why? That was in 1997.
Who the fuck cares?
It's exactly the same gap between that and Batman and Robin, like the last Chris Reeve Superman movie and Batman and Robin, as the first Superman movie and Batman 66. So I'm.
Who was Superman? Who was Superman in the
Let's
Adventures
not
of?
stand on brass taxes. Here's all I'm saying.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see Marvel do a similar thing with their fucking 70s Hulk.
God damn it! Stop it! I want that so bad, and the fact that they haven't done it makes me mad. Marvel, do it. I want to see the 70s Spider-Man as well. I want to see like 70s TV versions of all the characters. I want to see Japanese
Spider-Man.
No, I don't want that. Well, no, I would like that as well. But I want the TV. I want both.
I'm with Andres. Fuck TV American Spider-Man. I want 70s
Japanese Spider-Man.
Oh no, I'm saying you.
I want to do a storyline. I want to do a storyline where 70s Hulk goes to Japan and meets Japanese Spider-Man. And you kind of do it in the style of that episode of Godzilla the series, where it's just like American characters being like, "It's fucking weird over here."
I guess I was gonna say you do Japanese. But why not just keep Japanese Spider-Man as his own thing? Because then you can do a Japanese version of the Hulk in that.
Okay.
Like, wouldn't that be cooler? And then cross over the 70s TV Spider-Man in America with the 70s TV Hulk, make his shit better.
Japanese version of the Hulk is just a Japanese painted green. Like, that's all it is. Same fucking thing. Like, how do you Japanify that?
Oh, you make him Hulk out into a giant monster.
Yeah, but Japanese Spider-Man has a completely different origin, so you do exactly the same thing. Like, have him come from the planet Hulk.
I'm pissed.
Just turn Gyra. No, Sanda. No, Gyra. Yeah, make Gyra the Hulk.
What if a Japanese... Because you would have to do it like a Japanese tokusatsu thing, where it's like, how do you do the Hulk as a tokusatsu character? All right, so you get a Japanese motorcycle teenager, and he fucking gets hit by gamma rays.
And he turns into Gyra, and you have your... Yeah, and he has
you don't do it like that.
Child,
you can't... Because the Japanese Spider-Man has the same designs. You have to keep the... Dylan's right. It would be the same design. Like, those suits are almost identical for the 70s TV Spider-Man, except that the Japanese one is closer to the comics.
There are some Marvel characters that I could see being a bit more Japanese when translated. For instance, I imagine that an Iron Man suit would probably look more Sentai. I imagine.
See, that's another one. Or you can make it look like this. I want to see like the American TV version of that and the Japanese version of that.
No, essentially, you would take Japanese Iron Man, and you make it look like this.
It would essentially be a Kamen Rider with a skull helmet. That'd be fun.
That'd be cool. Agile. We're not talking about Adam West at all, though.
No.
So I think the general consensus is that we're all real sad. So I think we can move on. Is that the ultimate suit? It looks like the ultimate suit.
That's an anime superhero character.
Oh, well, from afar, it looked like the ultimate Iron Man armor.
Which already kind of looks a bit Japanese-ish.
Yeah, a little bit.
Although there actually is like a Japanese universe, the Monsterverse, the Marvel Monsterverse. That used to be a thing, and Iron Man piloted giant robots.
Well, there is an Iron Man anime, but it's pretty much just like the movie version.
Right.
And
there's a Japanese version of the '90s X-Men cartoon, but the only thing that's different is the intro.
Great.
let's see. Oh yeah, this is the Monsterverse Iron Man.
Rhodey in the Ultimate Universe pilots a giant robot version of a War Machine. It turns into a car as a Transformer. It's a Transformer.
What?
I'm sorry.
No.
That is not Ultimate Iron Man.
Yeah, that is not Ultimate Iron Man at all. Like, you're very wrong, sir. I'm very familiar with that constantly rebooted character.
All right, so moving onwards from dear old Adam West, may he rest in peace. Moving on to more optimistic news. In the events between our last episode and now, Godzilla vs. Kong recently acquired its director in the form of Adam Wingard. And Adam Wingard, he previously worked on The Guest, as well as Blair Witch, and recently wrapped up with the Netflix Death Note live-action TV series.
Mm.
And from what I heard...
I didn't know he directed that.
Yeah. And from what I've heard from Blair Witch was kind of like one of those things where it came, it went, and everyone already forgot about it.
He didn't direct the original, obviously.
No.
Okay. I thought that was directed by the original guy. Wow, okay.
My concern is I have seen none of these things.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and one of them isn't even out yet.
Then again, I wasn't familiar with Vogt Roberts ahead of time either, so I guess that's
I still haven't seen his other movies.
And it's very much fitting because it fits with the tradition that Warner Brothers has been going with in terms of getting a bunch of no-named indie directors to work on these big-budget Monsterverse movies.
And most of them have been horror movies, which I think is good. They all know how to work in the mold.
In terms of visual storytelling.
I'm sold on this dude. He seems like his heart's in the right place, and he's definitely proven his fandom, certainly online. I know some people are like, he's talking too much shit. You know what? He's having a good time, and I think that reflects that he gives a shit about having a good time with this universe, and that's what gets me excited. About what we're gonna see, and that we're not just gonna see another 20. Because what I like about Kong is that it's not like 2014, where it's this bizarre clinical blockbuster that puts the kaiju, imagery and mythos in the background, and then just has this kind of clinical blockbuster over it. But Kong is kind of this weird, wild, like all over the place, like really not typical blockbuster. And I think that we're going to see that from now on with these Monsterverse movies because of this, like, well, I'm going to put my own personality into it, which I guess Edwards was doing with that clinical direction, but this didn't work for me entirely.
And I hope they keep along that route, because there's a problem with other cinematic universes, mostly Marvel and also DC up to this point, although I haven't seen Wonder Woman yet, where sometimes the movies feel too alike.
I feel that, yeah. I think Marvel has definitely suffered from that. Doctor Strange was the big one for me. But DC, I saw Wonder Woman. That probably feels the most distinct of all of them. Although not from the superhero genre at large, sadly.
I feel like Suicide Squad tried to make itself feel different, but it all came across kind of skin deep.
Well, because the editing of that movie makes it feel like BVS, because it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's like the bastard love child of BVS and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I agree with that consensus.
Well, they shot it in the same exact way, but they just slapped all this like neon all around it, and like a weird
and put their
attempt to make it fun. I don't know.
And they put their Pandora music list on random.
So one thing I wanted to say about this guy getting the...
Hopefully the movies in the universe continue to be consistent with one another, but also different and interesting from each other.
I mean, consistent with one another is not necessarily an apt description so far. I'm waiting for that to be a thing. But tonally they've been distinct while still feeling they can take place in the same world, which is cool. And I hope that we even get a tonal shift with Godzilla too, which it seems like we will. Like, because the Godzilla movies did that all the time anyway, so that's a good idea. We got. And
I'm really glad that while the monster. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, so far all the casting has been amazing for that movie. I mean,
that looks pretty. Not
They got the
not
fucking
to use a.
Joe.
I was gonna say, yeah.
They got the fucking mom from Bates Motel, who's a great actress. They got fucking Eleven from Stranger Things. Other people. It's
Ken
gonna be
Watanabe's back. I'm pretty sure.
He's going to be the only returning character, I believe.
But he's confirmed.
Yeah, he's confirmed, definitely.
Cool.
About
Thank
his
God.
little-
That's all. He's all I
know.
wanted.
It's like they have like a complete like clean slate with this movie. It's like they know what works from the last movie. Godzilla.
I imagine they'll
and
say that
Watanabe.
Thor died. No. I think he will have died from cancer. I'm not kidding.
Oh boy.
I'm not kidding. I think that that's what they're gonna do. He'll definitely be mentioned. I think that he'll have been killed though. A lot of the people directly in the shit probably would have died anyway. His family,
But then
maybe even.
that would have meant Ken Watanabe should have died as well, considering how close he was to Godzilla.
I don't know about that. Dude, this universe. I think they're gonna like start revealing some weird shit. Like he might have like some fucking drugs or something that like makes him radiation immune or some shit.
Is he Jet Jaguar?
Maybe.
Do you think,
but Bryan Cranston is dead. Unless maybe they're gonna cybernetically turn his body. Oh, there you go.
You saw that Photoshop poster, haven't you?
Of course, that's old as shit.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll address the fact that his little British sidekick isn't around anymore? You think they'll explain that away somehow, or will they just ignore it?
No, I'm
completely?
pretty sure she's also coming back.
Okay.
I thought Sally Hawkins was also confirmed.
I'm not sure. It's been a while.
I'm pretty sure.
Anyways.
Oh, so I wanted to say something else about versus Kong
Yes.
and about Adam Wingard getting the director's chair. And I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it's Adam Wingard, not Adam Wingard. I could be wrong, but
Okay.
But I
Adam
you
Wingard.
could,
Adam
you could be
Wingardinger.
right. Wingard sounds cooler, certainly. I'm sure he would like it better if I called him that.
Sounds very anime-esque.
I mean, if he asks me, I will. I mean, he just has to ask me. You have to comment Adam Wingard. Until then, it's going to be Adam Wingard. So there's like 7 people writing this movie, right? Like there's a writer's room, which is probably not a terrible idea because it's.
Although, if you've seen the reviews for The Mummy, a lot of people, the thing that most people complained about was that it felt like it was written by multiple people.
Yeah, but this is like they're taking 3 other movies and doing a crossover between all of them, so it's probably not a terrible idea. It's also an incredibly like it's a tough concept to reboot into the modern day. I think that getting a bunch of people on board is a good idea. But I also imagine it's going to be like, all right, I wrote a version, you now write a version, now you're going to write a version, which is not always great either, but they did that with 2014. Kong didn't have that, and I actually think that Kong has a bit of a worse script than 2014 in some regard. There's some clunkier dialogue in Kong in some instances. But I don't know, man. I think that I'm really pumped about this one because if you get like a script that's like it's a bunch of people's visions and shit, you get this director on board to steer it in a certain direction. I think will be good. That's what Edwards did. That's what Vought Roberts did. I think they both did a really good job of that. You know, regardless of the downsides of their scripts. Hell, maybe getting a bunch of people as opposed to 3 will be advantageous in this instance. We have to just wait and see, don't we?
Yeah. So far, I'm looking at Wikipedia, and so far, I don't think no writers have been. Actually, you're right. In March 2017, Legendary assembled a writers' room to develop the story for Godzilla vs. Kong. I've also been looking at the cast list for Godzilla 2, Radioactive Boogaloo, and I forgot to mention that O'Shea Jackson Jr., who played his father in the Straight Outta Compton movie, he's in the movie, along with Aisha Hinds, Anthony Ramos, Randy Havens, Thomas Middleditch, Charles Dance.
I know fucking Charles Dance. None of the other people I know.
Sally Hawkins is confirmed to return with Ken Watanabe. So yes, and June this month, Bradley Whitford and Zhang Ziyi were added to the cast, with the latter playing a major role in the Monsterverse. And let's see. Also, in terms of
is the dude who played Brooks coming back from Kong Skull Island, because I thought that was gonna be like a thing for sure.
No idea.
Maybe he's dead.
Who knows?
Because he's a big deal in that sequel/prequel comic series that I started reading and didn't finish. It's pretty good though, and I liked the fact that it was like a sequel thing. It took place in like the 90s though, and he was older, so he could be dead by the time we get to 2014 and all that. So who knows?
Maybe if you finish the book, you'll learn that he died.
I don't think they put out another issue of it yet. As a matter of fact, I mean,
okay.
They only put out issue 1, as far as I know so far.
Okay, well, in terms of since speaking of Godzilla 2, I did want to point out some incredible stupidity from the Godzilla fan base, where it was teased on Twitter either by the new director or by the I think it was Dougherty, Dougherty. He teased on Twitter that they would be making some minor tweaks to the Godzilla design, and that there will be practical effects with involved in the movie, with the creature designs being made by Tom Woodruff Jr., who worked, I believe, on Alien Covenant. After that, those two announcements were made that they were going to make few tweaks to the design and we're going to incorporate practical effects into the movie. Everyone lost their shit online, and all the Godzilla fans everybody started making these stupid clickbaity articles where it's like, oh, Godzilla's going to be practical effects. Godzilla's going to be a man in a suit.
Yeah,
they're going to redesign Godzilla. They're going to completely change Godzilla's design. You all are fucking idiots.
Yeah, I think they may have exaggerated a bit in a few places. Yeah, no, I'm excited by the practical effects, certainly.
Yeah, but I'm certainly not going to hold my breath for a man in suit.
I don't know if I want that even. I mean, if they did it right, if Toho said they were going to do that, I'd be like, awesome. But Legendary, I'd be like, well, to what extent? Like, what do you mean a guy in a suit? Like how are you going to make that consistent with the last movie? Well, obviously, they're doing that. They're just going to do they'll do like some close-ups of Godzilla's face, maybe, and some close-ups on the other monsters and shit.
And some people suggest maybe they're going to add in a few scars from his last movie, similar to what happened with Godzilla Tokyo SOS, or just improve the quality of the CGI overall, because it will be about 4 or 5 years since that movie's release.
He changed designs every movie in the 60s and looked radically different. If he looks a little different...
But it's not the 60s anymore. Even the 90s had to cut it out and make a consistent Godzilla design.
He looked different in the 90s every movie, too. He looked fatter and
not that
squatter.
much. I mean,
not to the same extent. But
right.
But he was still a different suit. I mean, obviously, Millennium, they were like, whatever.
Yeah, they didn't give a shit.
Even if anybody wanted Suitmation to happen, you got to realize it's not going to fucking happen. It's not going to sell to a modern Hollywood audience. Like, are you high? Like, geez.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but I mean, I don't necessarily agree. It depends on what context you like. Again, it's to what end. I think you got to do a mix if you're going to do that sort of thing nowadays, which is what I fucking want. If they announced that, and then they were like, we're going to do a mix of both, I'd be like, you guys are amazing. But nobody wants to spend that kind of money, particularly this Monsterverse. That's been one of its shortcomings, is that it's a very CGI-y universe. Like there's some stuff in Kong where I'm like, oh, they couldn't have done that practically.
In my opinion,
by practical, they mean like sets.
They made up for it in Kong with the location shooting, though. Like that's really on point in that movie. But there's some monster action where I'm like, that really should have been practical.
In my opinion, the modern day equivalent to Suitmation is motion capture. And if that's done to its fullest extent, like we've seen in the recent Planet of the Apes movies, then that's a perfect way to go about doing your kaiju. You still get the human proportions necessary to do a mocap creature by just by the way it's done. But it's a bit more free, and it's a bit more consistent with the current way that Hollywood movies work. And honestly, somebody like Andy Serkis is like a fucking Rick Baker and a Lon Chaney all rolled into one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Kong was mocapped. Godzilla was just in the face, as far as I know. There's no movement.
I think they should cap the whole thing. Honestly,
I agree. That's what I want to see. But I'm saying you can build on that with practical stuff. They were gonna do a bit of that in Shin, but they ended up cutting that stuff. I'm pretty sure. Andre, you'd probably know more about that than me do.
That happens every time. That happens every time in recent history that a movie says they're going to use some practical effects. I'm a little bit worried that it'll happen on this movie. They'll say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do some
Potentially.
practical stuff."
Oh yeah,
Jurassic World did
that's
that, and then they paid for it because people bitched about it, and it looks like the sequel's going to make up for it.
and that's
Well,
what
the
happened with Alien Covenant, where they put CG over the models,
Yep.
over the practical effects.
And it's so obvious.
Done.
I mean, I know, Dylan, you saw it as well. Yeah, the end xenomorph stuff is way too CGI to use another unreal term that I've grown a fondness for.
Bothered with I was a little bit more bothered with the neomorphs, but yeah, it's all a
They
bit.
both don't look good a lot of the time, but the CGI in that movie is all over the place.
Well, the most tragic example is that recent The Thing movie.
Oh yeah.
I still haven't
There were actually
seen that.
a video has come out of the actual practical effects, and they look amazing.
It's
It
a
looks
lot of real
creepier than the
stuff.
CG.
And I think the only reason they shit canned it is because of this like idea that fucking it wouldn't work. But I don't know.
Let's see. Moving onwards with
Like obviously,
yeah.
Obviously, you'd have to CG the tail, but other than that, you could totally do a full mocap performance for Godzilla, and I think it would.
Yeah, I guess that's
be
kind of
great.
your saving grace of that is now you can do the tail in CG. Like that was always the big problem. That was one of the things they had to nail it early on before they could even like, oh, we're gonna do Godzilla as a normal thing. Was getting the tail to move, you know, that
Yeah.
little wire bob. You see it like they really mastered it in King Kong versus Godzilla, like that little just like the little whip. He does it a lot in 2014. Like it's very iconic. Anyway, Andre wanted to move us onwards.
Yes. So moving on to more Godzilla movie news, we finally have our first look at the design for Godzilla in the movie Godzilla Monster Planet.
And
which
it's
is
very similar to 2014, which I
Right.
It's a good thing. I mean, we've all pretty much agreed that like 2014 is like pretty much
A damn good
like,
design.
like, it's pretty on point, but it's got a
Yeah.
few things that we're not all keen on, but it's pretty perfect.
Right.
Like,
Especially when you
I
mentioned
think
how you look at all the concept art. You mentioned yourself in an earlier podcast that the one they chose was the best one.
Yeah, of all the concept art I've seen, they picked the best one.
And it's a genius move, I think, because of the trajectory of where this film's going. It's going to be going to Netflix shortly after its Japanese premiere. They
Right.
designed something that is a mixture of the last American Godzilla and elements of Japanese designs to create something that I think will appeal to both markets.
He's
it's
a
great
little
movie.
fat. Let's not
Oh,
stand
yeah,
on
he's very stocky.
He's a little fat, but
He's a little fat. Now, I will
not the
say that there
maple leaf
were,
fins, and I'm very partial to those. That's one
There
of the
were
things
some
they did with
similar-
Shin, where I was like, yay.
There were some similar concerns with 2014, though, if you remember, and then it turned out that we were just looking at a weird angle in that one still photo.
He's still a little
I don't know.
fat in that movie at points, where you're like, how
I'd
does
like-
he exist?
I'd like to know whether or not
even people on YouTube would make videos like that.
Yeah, but I mean that's true of anything like that. Like
Yeah.
you know, like as far as we know, nothing functions on that scale. But we have yet to. We could very well be proven wrong. We just have to be proven wrong anyway.
I'd like to know whether or not they fixed the feet. If they fixed the feet, then I would go ecstatic.
I never even
I feel
loved
like-
Shin's feet, but I like Shin's feet better than 2014. I feel like they should have swapped feet though.
Yeah, because I think I would have minded those feet less on Shin, honestly, because that's already a weird ass design.
Yeah, it's like at that point, you know, that's just another thing.
It matches his little girly arms. But I think a lot of people on the internet have been a tad unfair, saying that it's just 2014 again. It's not. There are some clear
No,
differences.
the skin texture looks pretty wacky, or looks pretty out there.
Is this
Skin
one of the
texture-
million things you put in the Skype chat? Because I'd like to look at it again.
No, but I can easily look it up.
Oh, this is the one thing.
The skin texture seems to be more traditional. As Bill pointed out, it does have the maple leaf spines. Also, one thing that I picked up on, I don't know if you guys noticed it or not, I feel like the snout is a little longer than on 2014.
I did pick up on
Yeah,
that,
it does. Let's see. Let's hope this image works, or this link works.
It looks a little bit like a parody silhouette of a monster you would expect to be Godzilla. Like, it almost looks like Reptar from a certain angle. And I kind of like that from a certain degree, because, like, it's very... This is not a traditional Godzilla story. Like, we're not rebooting the character here into, like, we're going to tell Godzilla's origin. This is a
No,
you like
based on
Godzilla?
what-
Here's a universe with him in it. You know, like that's what this movie looks like it's gonna be. So I think that's
And based on what we
probably
know
a
about
good
the story,
idea,
so-
if anything.
based on what we know about the weird-ass Godzilla story, like,
Yeah.
Right. This is like a very ambitious, very out there story with Godzilla. With this story taking, it's essentially it's After Earth with Godzilla.
He looks
Where-
a little bit like the Hanna-Barbera Godzilla. I mean, so does 2014.
I put that in that, Andres, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
see.
humans abandoned the world. They said, fuck this. They left the Earth, and then they come back thousands of years later. The world is very different, and Godzilla's kind of disrupted the entire, has made a new ecosystem based on him.
I like that they were like, people are bitching that we've shown everything about this world except the design of Godzilla, so that's the only thing we're going to put on this poster.
Yeah.
It's a
also in
weird
silhouette.
cross between like the posters for Shin and the posters for 2014, though. It's interesting.
Also,
yeah, you're right. With the 2014, they almost never showed Godzilla until later on, and then at that point they would make him the focus. Otherwise, all the other main posters would just tease him. Meanwhile, Shin Godzilla poster and the Godzilla Monster Planet poster, it's like, here he is! Look at it!
Yeah. And it's in
also
black
like
and
that
white.
they finally give,
Yeah.
I like that they
Or
finally
black
give
and
us
red
the
in
design,
Shin's case.
but it's just a silhouette. I mean, they finally revealed the design, but all we really know about is the general shape and a bit of the skin texture. Like we don't know much beyond that. Is he going to be gray? Is he green? Is he black? Brown?
Is he purple?
I would assume... Let me look at
Is he
it again.
Latino? What is he?
I mean,
Tell me.
looking at the way the light is reflecting off him here, he looks like typical Godzilla color to me. I'm interested in what his exact origin is in this. I know it's set in the future, so I'm wondering if that's going to play into it at all, because he looks mutated. So it looks like traditional bomb, boom, dinosaur
But
turns
then again,
into Godzilla thing.
we thought the same thing with Shin Godzilla, and look what happened.
He's a mutation still. I mean, it's
But not a bomb.
No. thought
no,
the same
but
thing.
I mean, it's, you know.
We thought
Yeah.
the same thing about shit until we actually got to see the design. I remember that first poster where it was just like the footprint. We were like, they're totally going like old school. They weren't going old school at all. It was
Like the vague, like conceptual, from the conceptual, but there is no bomb. Like that was the thing that we fucked up on. Like in fact, that was the one thing from 2014 that they kept consistent, was that there was a bomb,
Yeah.
even though it had no role in him being him. Which I'm like,
No,
why
it
would you even do this?
it just woke him up. He's like, hey,
No,
what's
it
all that
didn't wake
noise
him up.
upstairs?
It just, well, in the Awakening novel, the
Remember?
bomb,
That.
Hiroshima
But
bomb wakes him up.
But if you remember, like in 1954, we awoken something.
Yeah, but that was the nuclear submarine that they sent down. I like that origin better
Okay.
than even the bomb being the thing. Like Hiroshima, I mean.
Uh-huh.
I like it being a nuclear submarine because practically that makes sense. But I prefer a bomb.
Yeah.
And you can quote me on that. I prefer a bomb.
I prefer a bomb. That'll be the next thing, since, hey man, we're still potatoes.
Hey man, we may be fucked up, but we're still potatoes.
was that an actual
I'm gonna
quote?
say that to a customer at some point. Like, hey man, we fucked up, but we still serve ice cream.
To give context
what
to
you gotta
anyone
do-
to give
what you
context
gotta
to
do
anyone,
to a customer-
yeah.
What you got to do to a customer, Bill, is when they're dissatisfied with your service, just be like, "Hey, man, we've all taken a dick before." Like,
I kind of said that to somebody today in so many words, but what I said instead was, "Hey, it's my day off. I'm not really into this."
Isn't that your mantra in life, Bill?
I mean, on days that it's not my day off, no. But on days that
I'm
it's
not
supposed to
into
be my day
this.
off, yes.
ideally,
All right.
yes.
Yeah. Well, anyways, moving onwards to another Godzilla-related product. This game was announced way back in, I want to say, December 2015, before any where it was announced as a survival horror game. It was called City Shrouded in Shadow, and from December 2015 to like mid 2016, we had bits of news from the game when it was announced that they were going to have licensed giant Japanese characters involved in the game, in which you play as a protagonist, and you're basically running away from the middle of a giant monster fight going down. The first two characters that were revealed were Ultraman and Fake Ultraman, aka Alien Zarab. And later on, it was announced that Godzilla was also going to be in the game with a teaser for the Eva, the Purple Evangelion. And then the game kind of went silent, and we didn't hear about the game for about roughly a year. And then we finally got news again, a lot of news, actually, of City Shrouded in Shadow. I made a podcast with Deadpoolzilla, which you can check out right now on my channel, where we discuss our full thoughts. But basically...
After you listen to this one.
Right. Basically, it's revealed there are so far 4 scenarios that your character goes through. First, you encounter the scenario between Ultraman and fake Ultraman, aka Zarab. Then you encounter another scenario where you see Godzilla.
And you're just playing as a dude.
You're just a dude or a chick, and you get to. There are multiple choices, and based on your choices, your sidekick character will either view you as a good person or some asshole who's a selfish asshole who's only out for himself.
I know which one I'm picking.
And your sidekick can either be like a friend or a lover or something else, whatever.
Again,
so it's
I know which
like,
one I'm picking.
Right. So it's, I guess the story, it's not so much about the story other than there are these weird black shadows, and these black shadows are creating these fictional monsters and bringing them to life, and you're just going through from one scenario to another, and almost kind of like The Page Master, if anyone remembers that movie, where this kid is just stepping into these random stories, and it's like, shit, what now?
Right, so it's not like Godzilla is attacking your home city, it's like, I'm in the Godzilla world now.
Oh, no. It's just, it takes place in the fictional city of Ichi City. And in Ichi City, just these scenarios take place. The characters will never cross paths with each other. They only fight their respective enemy. So we have Ultraman and fake Ultraman, Godzilla and King Ghidorah, Gamera and Legion, the Legion Flower and the Legion Soldiers. And
That's
finally...
so random. Like, King Ghidorah makes sense. Gamera... Let's have Gamera fight Legion. It's like, hey, there's this other thing called Gauss that Gamera's like known to fight.
I think they want to make each scenario different, because with Godzilla scenario, it first starts off with Godzilla with you on a boat, and then after Godzilla sinks the boat, you finally get back on land, and boom, that's where Ghidorah lands.
This sounds pretty amazing. Like, is this actually going to come out and be a thing that I can play, or...
It will be for the PlayStation 4, but it's been announced that the PlayStation Vita version has been canceled. For anyone there in America,
however will I survive?
Yes, who still cares about the Vita, which is still surprisingly popular here in Japan. But anyways, with the next scenario, you are in a subway, and in the subway you encounter the Legion soldiers before encountering the vines that lead into the Legion Flower. So I'm thinking they chose the Legion because it provides a very unique type of situation for the characters, because already twice before you've had just 2 giants duking it out within a giant city environment. But Godzilla's a bit more unique because they actually have a level where you are on a ship. And the last level that was announced was the Evangelion level, where it's just the first episode of the show, where you see the rebuild movie versions.
You're just Shinji screaming in a corner while your dad tells you to get in the robot.
You're running away from Sachiel, the first angel, and he's duking it out with Ava Unit 1, and then eventually Ava Unit 1 goes crazy, starts mauling the shit out of Sachiel, so that just makes the situation even worse for you. And they teased a 5th level, but so far, like the other characters, it's just a vague black shadow to preview the next character, and many people are assuming that it looks like a robot, and it's like a weird blocky tank-like robot.
So probably not.
I'm glad they're not doing Gauss, to be honest. I think he's kind of overused. It's good to see Legion get a little love from these people.
I never really liked Legion. Legion was never what I liked. What my life was about. I always liked Gauss. I always liked Iris, movie wise, and then even like, I think partially it's because I like Iris's movie, and design wise, Legion and Iris there are certain design similarities that I kind of bleed them together.
I can't believe you don't like Legion, but you're the same guy who came out of Rebirth of Mothra 2 like, I didn't think it was that bad.
I mean, I said I had a good time watching it. I didn't say it wasn't bad. It's a bad movie that I think is a ton of fun. It's like it's kind of like Godzilla's Revenge to a certain extent. I don't think
No.
I think it's on the same level. In terms of funness, if that's a term. But Andres, as long as I get to run away from Godzilla, act like a dickhead, and fuck a girl, it sounds good to me.
All right. So far, even though they've made all these announcements and have released all these screenshots, there has yet to be actual gameplay trailer. There was a trailer way back when it was first announced in 2015, but that was like a mood piece that was mostly focused on like destruction cutscenes. So we have yet to see, as far as I know, actual gameplay from this game. So that's why I'm very
Alien Colonial Marines, where it's in like development hell for 5 years, and then we see gameplay, and it's like, oh, it's fucking 10 years away.
This better not turn out to be another No Man's Sky situation or a...
Oh yeah, where they tease all these things, and then it's like, no, it's very linear. There's not much you can do here in this game.
The only example of this that ever turned out well was Killzone 2. Killzone 2 was in development hell for like 5 years, and then that game turned out great. So
yeah, even though it was very different from what was initially shown at the beginning.
Yeah, it looked a million times better.
Although that was all pre-rendered, that was pretending to be in-game footage.
Yeah, I think everybody was aware that was not what the game was going to look like, but it looked weirdly close to it though. The movement of the gun was one of the things that like they kept consistent.
Let's see, and there's a little few tidbits of news because E3 is going on right now. The one thing is that ever since Sony announced that they were going to make a newer, more like higher tech version of their PS4, which was later revealed to be the PlayStation PS4 Pro, Xbox also teased its own super
demeaning.
Xbox also.
If you make a newer, more advanced version of the PS4, isn't that just a PS5?
Not really. It's just the same technology, only now you can have your games in 4K instead of HD.
Yeah, they might not even let them patent it as that, because they'd be like, this is not, your marketing is bullshit.
Have you tried out this new Switch shit that Nintendo is doing?
I saw the Switch physically. My friend has it, but I have yet to play it myself, because my friend, he only got it for Zelda, and he already wants to sell it now, because he's finished with Zelda.
I heard that it's better than it looks.
Yeah, it does. It does look better than it looks, and the gameplay, from what I've seen of it, looks really amazing for a portable system. Let's see. They also with Xbox, they also announced that they were going to make their own 4K super nicer edition of the Xbox One, and now for E3 they announced it as the Xbox One X.
Again, why isn't that an Xbox 2? This doesn't make any sense. This isn't how. How consoles
because
work.
It's technically the same console, only now you can go 4K with it. And so the other bit of news that I think might be interesting for Giant Monster fans is that Shadow of the Colossus will be remastered for the PlayStation 4.
I'm going to have to buy that because I still haven't played that game.
Although I heard many, many, many good things about it.
It always looked like the coolest thing ever, because it's like you don't fight hordes of enemies, you just fight one big thing. And I'm like, that's really cool. It always looked really hard, and I'm like, I'm bad at things that are hard. I don't like to try.
Apparently, I missed right the fuck out because I never played Shadow of the Colossus or War of the Monsters when I was younger.
Yeah, thankfully
War
you
of
can
the
get.
Monsters is just like a brainless beat 'em up. So, or that's not a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
I guess it's a
fighting game.
3D fighter.
3D fighter, yes, yeah.
It's closest to it's like the Budokai Tenkaichi games. It's like
right. It's not very deep, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Simplistic fun. With Shadow of the Colossus, I heard it was all kinds of intricate mechanics and gameplay and puzzle solving in terms of learning how to climb on top of all these different colossal monsters, which are of different shapes and varieties. In order to kill
them. Some of them are
them.
abstract, and then some of them are more just like straight up giant monsters.
Right. So yeah, there's a chance if you haven't already downloaded it, like the PS2/HD version if you haven't gotten the Team Ico collection, which contains Shadow of the Colossus and Ico for the PS3, or if you haven't gotten the Shadow of the Colossus straight from the PlayStation Store on your PS4 right now, then you can wait for the HD remaster version, because I'm pretty sure this would look a lot better.
The PlayStation Store is literally just like the PS2.
The PS2. Yeah, the PS2 version just slightly upscaled, which is taken from the PS3 collection with Ico.
Oh, you see, I could just buy that because I have a PS3 hooked up right now as well. I have both of them stacked on top of each other.
Right. So you can download or buy the physical Team Ico collection, one for the PS. You can download it for the PS4, or you can buy the physical collection for the PS3.
There is a very real possibility I might do that after we get off the call tonight because I have a full day off tomorrow, which will be
nice. Okay.
which will be amazing. I'm planning on going golfing with my father in the morning, which is a thing that I never thought I would say.
You used to do?
Yeah, a long time ago, back when I was like, I don't have much else to do, so I guess I'll do
back when
that.
you used to be, back when you were really skinny.
No, I'm skinnier now than I was then.
Oh, really? Now,
Without
okay.
question.
Congrats.
Oh yeah. I guess. Well, I probably don't.
Hey man, you work hard. You work hard. As much shit as we give you, I gotta give you that.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I never get that from anybody. So wow, it almost feels like I almost don't trust that. I almost feel like now you're gonna try and murder me. So I don't. But
you're like one of those dogs who's been abused for so long that when they see a comforting hand, they're immediately shaking in fear.
Yeah, my kitten Logan is like that. I mean, that's why we named him that, because he doesn't trust you at all. He only trusts me now because I haven't done anything to make him nut for like months now. So he kind of lets me pet him now.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, and the last bit of news I want to bring up is the recent performance of The Mummy, since that's supposed to be the next launch pad for the Universal Dark Universe.
What do you think of that title? Have we talked about that?
No, we haven't, but it's super generic sounding. I always have to say that.
I hate it, to be honest. I think the biggest problem with it is that it's the same as the Justice League Dark movie they were going to make.
I hear that Warner Brothers is going to was going to sue, or DC was going to sue Universal for the name.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, here's the thing. It's not a great title. They really should just call it the Universal Monsters Universe. I mean, their thing is Legendary took that when they called it the Monsterverse. Well, you know what? Whatever. They don't own the name Monster.
Call it the Creatureverse. The creature features.
No,
yeah,
you can't call it
features.
that because the creature from the Black Lagoon is specific.
Okay.
Although that character is not the creature from the Black Lagoon. He's called the Gillman. Yeah.
Yeah. Or has
it depends on what they call him in the movie, though, because I think they're just going to call that movie Black Lagoon, which is problematic.
Oh yeah,
isn't there an anime called Black Lagoon? They're also going to make a live action.
I think it's
movie
called Blue Lagoon.
No. There is definitely an anime called Black Lagoon. Or maybe it's just a manga. But without question, I know that for a fact.
Yep, you're right. Black Lagoon is an anime. I'm very surprised
they
you
might
knew
just
that.
have to call that movie The Creature.
Yeah, they gotta have to go with a very generic sounding name. Yeah, like The Mummy, The Creature.
The problem with The Mummy is that it's too vague a reboot/remake. Just like the Brendan Fraser movie was. The only thing that carries over with that is Emotep being in the name. Now, I did hear that this movie is actually canonical with the Brendan Fraser movie. Is that true?
I haven't heard anything about that. No, as far as the marketing goes, it's a whole new thing.
I mean, it's that franchise, though. I mean, it's because it's Universal. It's that aesthetic. But I mean, I would imagine Emotep is probably in this universe, like a character. Like
maybe because the only ones they really focus on, other than the girl mummy, is Set, the god, kind of like the god, like the underworld god.
Okay.
Seth, yeah. And so this movie, let's see, how much did this movie cost?
I would imagine it probably must have cost $100 million, right? I mean, it looks like a $100 million movie.
Let's see, $125 million. Ooh. So it's $125 million.
That's too much for a Mummy movie, don't you agree?
Yeah, and the movie made $174 million worldwide. So right now it only made $32 million domestically and $141.8 million internationally.
Oh, it'll make its money back because Tom Cruise is a big name overseas. Has it opened everywhere? Opened in China yet?
Let's see here.
If it opened in China and that's it, then they're fucked. But if it didn't open in China yet, then it'll do fine.
Yeah, because that's the world we live in now.
It is. That's the fucked up thing. We make movies for the Chinese and people on the internet.
Let's see. China. I think they really, like, I guess no one was really expecting, ooh.
It opened in China?
It opened in China already.
Oh, no! It's fucked! It's done. Wow. Wonder Woman.
Don't worry, it has yet to open in France, Greece, Israel, and Japan.
Okay, it's not going to make any money. It might make some money in Japan. It's because monster movies do well there, right? Kong Skull did well in Japan, no?
Yeah, it did well. But the thing is, like, I actually
Kong's
talked to some of my students
in Japan, though.
I talked to some of my students about the Universal monsters, and they don't know any of them outside of Frankenstein and Dracula.
Well, because they're literary icons. I mean, they must know the Wolfman, or at least the concept of a werewolf.
Nope.
They must know
a werewolf, maybe. A werewolf,
yeah,
maybe.
but the silver bullet and the full moon, like, they must know that shit.
Nope.
Are you fucking... You must
That's very
be crazy.
Western.
I'm gonna come into that fucking classroom and like just random and be like, "You fucking dumb fuckers know that a werewolf turns into a werewolf with the full moon. What dumb, fucking, idiotic fucking tits have you sucked on since you were kids that you don't know a werewolf turns into a werewolf with the full moon?" And I hope
come on, man. They got more important shit to focus on, like their studying and their education and getting a salary man job at a business. Can't you see they're working hard so they can work towards a job that they're gonna hate for the rest of their lives?
I guess, but why can't they find out that a werewolf turns into a werewolf at a full moon? Although I know that there is different mythology for that kind of shit over there, so I understand that.
Have you seen the Chinese vampires?
No, the ones that hop, right?
They're the ones that hop with their arms stretched out.
I've heard so much different mythology over the years. We're gonna talk about some of it later tonight, presumably soon. How much more news do you have?
Oh no, that's it.
Oh,
that's it. So yeah, 124. So they made back their money. But they're a bit far away from reaching the 2.5 million, the 2.5 times their budget that they would need to make it a comeback. But at this point, I think Universal has already invested way too much money at this point to back out now.
They cast the names, yeah.
They cast, yeah.
I mean, The Mummy, though, they started with a weird one. I think they thought of I think they planned for like an Iron Man thing where it's like, oh, people know The Mummy a little bit.
Right, because the Brendan Fraser things are still very recent.
There's a ride still at Universal that we almost went on that's still there, so you know.
You didn't go on it?
No.
What happened? Why?
Why did you do one? Which was
did we run out of time?
Yeah, because David had to get home, remember? We were
we
don't
right.
We'll just get home whenever. But David was like, no, I gotta get home at a certain time. Also, we had to, we were going out to dinner as well, so that was a thing.
Right. Where did we go for dinner?
To Denny's.
To Denny's?
Well, we had more higher-end plans initially, remember? We were gonna go to some, like, fancy hibachi or whatever. Or no, like a sushi place or whatever, I can't remember.
Okay, yeah. But
then we ended up going to Denny's.
Yeah.
I got like a really good steak though. I was impressed. I was a happy man.
Yeah, that was a good night. Wait, was that 2015 or 2014? No, that was 2015 it was 15.
2015.
Yeah, spring break 2015. Wow, It's been 2 years since then now.
Yep.
Wow.
It's a wild, wet world we live in.
Especially on the wet coast.
On the wet coast. Dylan has been gone for a while. I'm just gonna start the cryptid stuff without him.
Sure thing, man.
As long as you kids don't mind him, as long as he's here in time for the game. Because if not, we can't do the game.
Also, I found 2 images because we were talking about the remake, the prequel Thing.
Yeah.
And I found images of the Thing monster. I found an image to compare between the CG model and the not a still shot, but a behind the scenes shot of the practical effects puppet. If you see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the CGI Thing where he gets, it's called out. He's like, oh shit, everyone knows I'm the Thing. Better Hulk out now.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
And this is the practical effect that they replaced it with. Or that's the practical thing that was replaced.
Wow, it looks so much better.
Yeah. It doesn't look very, like, weird, shiny, and slimy at all. It just looks really disturbing because it looks so human. He doesn't look like it's made out of clay, like some wet clay that the CGI model is.
That's much more disturbing. Like there's an actual dude in there, yeah. Ugh. Yeah, no good. Like, because you can just tell that it's a head photoshopped onto a fucking CG model in the one they actually put in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the benefit of the practical effect is that there's actually something on screen. It's always the benefit of practical effects, kids, is that you're looking at something real. That's there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that CGI always has the struggle to convince you of. That's one of the biggest downfalls of Kong Skull Island, as much as I still like that movie, is that too much of the time I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of video game stuff going on there. Even though it looks cool. It would look cool in a video game, but still, like, too much, like, CG that could be real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Dylan, are you back?
Yeah.
You're just in time for the Cryptid stuff. I was just about to transition. So speaking of King Kong...
probably be quick, actually, because I might have to go.
Quick. All right, I got a lot of Cryptid stuff to get through, so I got a whole game. I guess we'll just move on then. So on to Cryptids Who Knows, our popular recurring segment. King Kong known for fighting dinosaurs, obviously. We're going to talk about some dinosaurs tonight. So we had some difficulty pronouncing the name of our next cryptid on our list of cryptids that we're going to hit. We struggled with the name Mokele Mbembe. I'm still struggling with it. It's a hard one because it's two words. I guess it's a conjunction, junction.
What's your function?
and the second word is an M followed by a B, which is unusual, obviously, for us white folk to say. But I'm gonna try my best as we talk about Mokele Mbembe, a African Congo-based dinosaur cryptid that's been reported for hundreds of years in the region by local tribes and white men who hear and women who hear tales of tribesmen who describe this creature as a sauropod-esque thing, like a brontosaurus or a brachiosaurus or any kind of four-legged herbivore-based dinosaur. Point is, it's a prehistoric dinosaur, son. That apparently, mainly sticks to the waterways of the Congo River, but Congo River Basin. There's a specific river that it's known in. It's the waterways surrounding the called Lake Tele, Tele. I don't know how you actually pronounce that, but that's how I wrote it here. Mokele Mbembe, by the way, actually means the one who stops the flows of river. One who stops the flow of rivers. That's what it actually means in its local dialect. So again, the point is it's known around water, which is interesting because that actually matches with archaic descriptions of sauropods.
Right. Kind of like the what do you call it? Another cryptid that's like a pterosaur, like a pteranodon, but it's like an outdated. People describe it as like the outdated version of a pteranodon with the long tail. What was it called?
What is that thing called? That's also an African-based one.
Yeah, and it supposedly glows in the dark, and it digs in the ground to feed on human corpses, which doesn't make it by any biological sense for a pterosaur to do. Mm-hmm. I'll look it up while you continue.
Yeah. Hey, Dylan, you said you may have to go soon, right?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, tell you what. Here's what we'll do. The game doesn't really rely on knowledge of the cryptid. So, tell you what we'll do. I'll go into all the gritty details afterwards, and you can stick around for as much as you can. Why don't we start with the game, though, since it's pretty much just based on names. And we don't need to know all we need to know about Mokele Mbembe. But, Andres, you got it?
Yeah, the Ropen.
That's it! They did that on Destination Truth. I saw that. I love that episode. Destination Truth, by the way, is the best cryptid show. Can we just... Since we talk about this shit a lot, we have to say that. Watch Destination Truth. It's a ton of fun. Those people know what they're doing. A, it's ridiculous, and B, they approach it with a certain degree of professionalism. So, on to the game, though. So, the idea here is that there are a bunch of other names that Mokele Mbembe is known by outside of that. In fact, everything up until the 1900s does not refer to that name. this is a common theme with these cryptids we discuss. They don't really get the names that we know them by until the mid to late 1900s. But there were a bunch of other local tribes that called them a bunch of other names that are only connected because they have similar descriptions of sauropod-esque dinosaur-type creatures.
Well, of course, before being referred to as Michele Mbembe, his birth name was Littlefoot.
So the idea of the game is that I'm going to give you a bunch of weird-sounding names, two of which are not names that refer to Michele Mbembe or sauropod-esque dinosaur legends, and one that actually is a specific reference to an African legend of a dinosaur-esque creature. So two of them are fake, one of them is real. That's the name of the game. Everybody on board?
Yeah.
And we're trying to determine which one is the real one, or which ones are the fake ones. Okay.
Well, both, but which one is the real one, I guess, is the one you're really trying to win my heart over. So, everybody's on point. We're just looking at names here. You're going to get no other information to determine legitimacy than that. Here we go. So you're going to get 3 options. There's going to be 5 rounds, and I've got 2 tiebreakers in case we have to go to that. So you guys got it?
Yeah.
Andres, can you keep score for me again? I mean, there's only 2 of you, so it should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. First round of 3. Loengo, Kakonga, and Sanga. You guys got them?
Yeah, Loengo, Kakoga, and Sanga.
Loengo, Kakonga, Unsanga. I mean, it's probably going to be easier to refer to them as the first one, the second one, the third one. So you guys are just telling me which ones you think are fake, which ones you think are real.
Okay. All right. Are we supposed to... Yeah?
The first one's real to me. I don't know.
First one sounds real to you?
Yeah.
We'll say the traditional millionaire final answer attached to what you say is your final answer, so that way I know.
I'm gonna say the third one is fake.
Nsanga?
Yeah, why not?
It's fake?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to do the opposite and say that the first fake and the second 2 are real.
No, I think you guys... Oh, okay, I think you guys misinterpreted here. My bad.
Oh, what?
2 of them are fake, one of them is real. That's what I explained before. You guys are trying to determine which one is real.
You said that one was fake.
Did I?
I think so.
I was pretty sure I was pretty clear about the rules. Two of them do not refer to dinosaur-based African legends. One of them does. In other words, 2 of them are fake. One of them is real. I'll say that is definitely what I explained at the beginning.
In that case, I'll say that the second one is real.
Kakonga. All right, Let me mark that down. How about you, D?
Okay. Well, in that case, I guess the first one I already said sounded real to me, so I'll just go with the first one.
Okay. You're both wrong. Sanga, the third one, is the actual...
I was so close.
That is another name that refers to Michele Mbembe.
Okay.
So neither of you get a point. Now,
well, damn, I knew it was one of them.
Well, sure. I knew it was one of the 3 options you gave me. I tried. That is basically what you're saying. So on to round 2. Another set of 3 here. We have Umbar, Jagonini, Bangwelu. I'll say it again. Umbar, Jagonini, Bangwelu. So again, first one, second one, third one. Andres.
I'm gonna go with 3 because it's the weirdest one that even you had a difficult time pronouncing.
So you're saying that is the real one?
Yes.
Okay. How about you, D?
I'm gonna guess first one again because that second one just sounds stupid.
All right. So, Dylan, you said that Umbar was the real one, and Andres, you said that Bangwelu was the fake one.
Yeah.
Both are genuine African terms, neither of which refer to the dinosaur legend, both of which are regions in Africa. Jagonini is another reference to Mekelu Mbembe. Neither of you get points again.
Okay.
On to...
These names, Bill, this is why this game is difficult. These names are a bit ethnic. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
they're all real African names.
I need to get my South African friend in here.
I speak English, the language Jesus spoke, and
well, that's what makes the game challenging. That's why I knew it would be too easy if I made up a bunch of weird sounding fucking bullshit. So I used actual African names to throw you guys off. There are some that I made up, but you won't. But I made it so that way it's hard to tell the difference. So we're moving on now to round 3. The first one is Amali. The second one is Menu, and the third one is Sloon. First
I'm going to go with number 1.
Andres, you're going with number 1?
Number 1.
D?
all Greek to me. Let's go with number 2.
Menu. Dylan, you're going with Menu. You happy with that?
Why the fuck not?
Dylan, you're wrong. Andres, you get the first point.
Oh, shit.
Amali refers to a variant of the Mekelium story, and Menu is one that I made up. I'm pretty sure. All right, on to round 4. This one. All right. Koye Raymoon is the first one.
Okay.
Water Lion is the second one. Angola is the third one.
One of these things is not like the other.
Andres, which one do you think is real?
What was the third one again?
Angola.
I'm going to go with number 1 again.
Koye Raymoon.
Yes.
You're happy with that?
Yeah.
Dylan.
3, fuck it.
Angola?
Sure, why not?
So, you guys obviously think that I made up Water Lion.
Yes, but that turns out to be the real one.
That's the real one, yep.
Ah, shit.
Yep, that's... Now, I did kind of cheat a bit, because that is the English translation for the African name.
Bitch.
But that is the real English translation for the real African name. The other two are... One of them I made up, and one of them is an African region. All right, we're on to round 5. So, Andres, you have won, and you're the only one to have gotten a point so far, right?
Yeah.
So, odds are we're going to have to go into the tiebreakers, so good thing I made those. Dylan, you got to fucking get on your A game, buddy.
Yeah, I guess. There is no A game when the options are. Do you think it's Zabbity Bop or Flibbity Flu? You just got to be like.
Well, you got to interpret Zobbity Zop from Flibbity Floob.
I was gonna be like, I don't know. I guess I'll go with Zabbity Bop.
Well, if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, maybe you'll fucking be able to get a point, like Andres over here.
I'm gonna go with Flibbity Flu, Mr. Cosby.
Well, is it all right? So round 5, Gabon is the first option. Gabon. Option 2.
I didn't know the guy behind Valve was a cryptid.
Likula is option 2, and Inyamala is option
In your
3.
mama?
Oh shit!
Inyamala is option 3. So Gabon is option 1, Likula
That's
option 2, Inyamala is option 3.
I'm gonna go with In Your Mama because I like the sound of that.
Just for because variety is the spice of life. As much as I want to go with 3, I'll go with 2.
All right, Andres, you sure?
Yeah.
You're not trying to win this game?
Nope.
All right, well, Dylan's fucking right. Inyamala is the real one, and that's why I couldn't pronounce it. There are some ones that I couldn't pronounce that are not real, because I based them on real unpronounceable shit, and I just fucked some of the letters and made them more unpronounceable.
Uh-huh.
Oh shit! Flibbity Flu came through.
But you guys are now exactly tied, right, Andres?
Yes.
So good thing I had the tiebreaker. So we'll see how it goes. If one of you gets the first one, then that'll be it. Otherwise, I have another one. So first round of the tiebreakers. We have the first option is Inguma Moeni. That's the first one. Second one is Mahada. Third option is Mabilu Mimbumba. First option again, Nguma Moene. Second option, Mahada. Third option, Mbilu Mbumbo.
I'm going to go with one.
So our options are Hakuna Matata, something else, or Baby Wembumbo.
Nguma Moene, Mahada, or Mbilu Mbumbo.
Right, that's what I said. I don't know, 3.
You're going with 3?
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong. Andres wins.
Hooray!
All right, just for the hell of it, we're gonna do the fourth one.
Okay.
Remle Ntuka, Ngoima, Mwamba.
I'm going to go with one again.
Okay, D.
Well, 3 didn't work out so well last time, so I'll guess 2.
Dylan, you're right. Had we actually counted this round, you would have tied with Andres. But no, Andres wins because he got there first. So Andres, you're the winner.
I'm just glad it's over that.
So Andres, you get my favor as a friend.
Hooray!
You're a way cooler cat. Dylan, you fucking suck.
Damn flibbity flues and zoobity bops and...
Alright, so back to the actual backstory of Michele Mbembe. So the specific straight...
Specific straight?
Fuck off. It's late. The specific traits vary depending on the story. That's one of the issues with this fucking little tale here. But it's typically described as looking like the Brontosaurus from King Kong. That's really how it breaks down. Behaviorally as well as description-wise. It's very, very territorial, hangs out in the water, river bends in particular. That's why it's sort of known to stop the flow of rivers, because it's known to hang out there. But again, that's definitely the analogy I can come up with. Otherwise, it's known to have the characteristic trunk of an elephant or the horn of a rhinoceros. In fact, a local tribe was once shown pictures of a rhinoceros, uncommon in the region, and identified it as Michele Mbembe, providing a likely explanation. So, there is a thought process here that we are simply dealing with a bunch of tribes coming up with a bunch of different stories for, animals that we know. Rhinoceroses, elephants, hippopotamuses in some instances. There are 3-toed tracks with little claws on the end of them that people have attributed to dinosaur creatures that line up more with hippopotamuses in regions where they don't really belong, although they could go there realistically if you think about it. And being given different names that line up with, the stories of what people are saying are Michele Mbembe, big dinosaurs hanging out in the water. What else does that that's big and gray and smooth-skinned?
Elephants?
And hippopotamuses.
Okay.
As well as rhinoceroses. But otherwise, Michele Mbembe is described as being more spiritual in nature. A ghostly apparition, appearing to ward off people from going into certain regions of the Congo.
So Michele Mbembe wouldn't describe himself as religious, but certainly spiritual.
Well, he is a spiritual entity. That would be like a ghost who's an atheist. It's like, well, what are you then?
So Michele Mbembe is a ghost now. This is all very...
Well, no, I'm saying that accounts don't match up. There are different stories where it's spirit. It's a deity that manifests itself, again, to ward off people from entering certain regions of the Congo. You know what I mean? Like a taboo spirit.
There ever been a good Michaeli and Bimbe movie?
No. It's only been referenced in like passing and certain stuff, and it's always been in like kids' movies and stuff. There are books
I could have sworn there was like a movie involving like sauropod.
There was
in the jungle.
There was a movie called The Dinosaur Project, which was about the legend of Michaeli and Bembe was then like the offshoot for a whole dinosaur world that was in Africa. But specifically a Michaeli and Bembe movie, not that I'm familiar with. You could be right and I could be wrong, but not that I know of this time.
I remember the Dinosaur Project being that found footage movie.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. It was garbage.
Yeah,
I saw it. It was on Netflix.
I like the concept, but the CGI was just too bad for it to be taken as, whoa, this is actually real.
Well, it's a remake of The Lost World. I mean, that's what's cool about it. But it's no good. So, who knows? It's a whole bunch of different shit that doesn't really line up. But a number of expeditions in search of the creature and hunts for it have claimed to have come nearly face-to-face with it. Again, all kinds of white and black and Asian and all kinds of different ethnic folks have gone in search of this creature, trying to kill it or just trying to find it. And they've all claimed to be like, oh, I almost came face-to-face with it. But none have returned with physical proof to back up their stories. One early reference to a dinosaur-like creature in the region by white folk was in 1776 by some guy named Bonaventure. But he described it as having claws, so he was totally full of shit. His sighting was of only footprints, and the footprints were three-toed, and they were kind of tinier than some of the bigger footprints that were found by tribes earlier and later expeditions that were described to be of Michaeli and Bembe's origin. And they were more flat-footed. These were three-clawed. So that's more in line with hippopotamuses anyway. Even more so than a sauropod. A sauropod's not going to have a track like that anyway. So, he can fuck off. But in 1920, a Smithsonian expedition to the Congo region died in a train crash after having some mysterious encounters prior in a region wrought with Michaeli and Bembe mythology. They had had some of their local guides were setting up their shit, and they had reported to hear some mysterious roars in the distance and had heard some large creature moving in the distance, and in a region with a lot of Michaeli and Bembe stories. And they died in a train crash in an area where some water overflowed the tracks in a region where Michaeli and Bembe is very prominent. So, kind of some X-Files level conspiracy shit going on in that story. Then we have some expeditions over the ensuing 100 years, encountered stories of mythological monsters by all sorts of names, all describing different creatures, with different shape, footprints, and features, but always similar to large local wildlife. Hippos were another example, again, in addition to elephants and rhinoceroses. But in conclusion, Michaeli and Bembe's existence is bolstered only by stories, just like hearsay and people giving eyewitness accounts. All prior photographic and footprint evidence has either been thrown out reflecting the features of known animals, likely rhinos, hippopotamuses, elephants, or maybe at one time a brontosaurus or a similar sauropod, but since then has been folded into the local superstition and given different names and exaggerated mythological traits hereafter. It is unusual, however, how long the specific sauropod description has stuck around and been applied to the other local animals, in such mythology. But nowadays, in the past 100 years, I would say it's almost definitely misidentification. It's one of those sad instances like the Jersey Devil or the Mothman, where it's, probably not a real thing. It's people looking at a known animal and going, oh my god, it's a monster, it's a dinosaur, holy shit, we're all gonna die. But 500 years ago, who knows? It's the Congo, man. I think this could be an instance where maybe in, ancient tribes, maybe there was a relic dinosaur that survived in this region, and they encountered that, and it was folded into their mythology then. and now they're encountering known animals that they don't encounter on a regular basis, and they're applying it to this mythology. That's something that I think might be happening here, but I don't know. Likely not even that. Likely just people are seeing rhinos and elephants and going, "It's a dinosaur, guys! Oh my God!"
You think it's possible that at some point in the distant past, somebody comes across a larger than is typical, like crocodile or something, and then over the years the story keeps changing until it just happens to kind of resemble a dinosaur, and now we're all on this like, oh, it was a fucking dinosaur.
It doesn't seem like a crocodile-looking dinosaur by description, though. It matches more with a sauropod, and that's stuck around with different tribes all over the vast region. That's what I'm saying makes it a little more credible to me, having been a thing in the past.
I know that occasionally you get a croc that's like way larger than the average croc.
They don't stand like the sauropods in the stories, though.
Well, no,
when they're sitting in their necks, they're supposed to have a long neck too.
Yeah, well, that's definitely something that if it were a big crocodile that somebody had seen, the long neck would have definitely been like something that had been exaggerated over time or something. You know what I mean? I don't think that's likely.
They do have a slightly long neck in some instances. That you could be right. I'm not saying that it's definitely a dinosaur. I'm saying that this is one, unlike the Mothman and the Jersey Devil, that I put a little more stock in because of where it is.
I just don't think that. I mean, I was just trying to think what they could have possibly seen if not a dinosaur to inspect. Because, like, if somebody in the distant past saw a hippo, I don't know if this had been the story to come out of it. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Again, I think the misidentification with that is more now, more past a couple hundred years. But maybe 700 years ago, maybe there was a relic dinosaur. Do you think that's possible in this region? And then those stories have lasted, and by the time, other races have gotten their hands on this story, I suppose those examples aren't around?
I suppose it's possible. The only thing that really makes it hard to say is that when talking about dinosaurs, we're talking about millions of years.
Yeah. Hundreds of millions of years, but, lots of millions of years.
Tens of millions of years.
What do you think, Andres?
I think like most of the cryptids that we've discussed in the past, I don't think there isn't enough evidence to support the existence of Mokele Mbembe. And unlike it surprises me that unlike the Loch Ness Monster, we haven't had as much photographic evidence, but as far as I know, what you've said, it's mostly just been sightings, right?
All hearsay and tales. And the photographic evidence that has been put forward has been thrown out as other animal or hoaxes. Right.
Yeah, so I highly doubt this could be a thing, as exciting as it would be to have a dinosaur in the jungle.
This is one of the cooler ones, though, isn't it? This is one.
Oh,
of my,
yeah.
This is definitely in my top 10. Maybe
Although
even top 5.
It kind of feels a bit random, like an African jungle dinosaur. It's random.
Doesn't that
but
make
cool
it
at the
seem
same time.
more legit, though? Like, how would they know what a fucking dinosaur is?
I guess.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know though. If there's one, then there has to be more than one, and I feel like
of course, I'm saying that's why they've gone extinct. Hundreds of years in the past, maybe even 1,000 years ago. And it's just like these ancient tribes encountering them.
This
is a cooler story than it is like, oh, this definitely happened. But I'm just saying it's a theory.
There's a reason I can kind of keep my mind open about the whole Loch Ness thing and less so for this, because it's the ocean, because it's connected to the ocean, and it's possible that things can swim in and out whenever they wanted to. But on land, I don't know. I feel like a population of dinosaurs would be pretty noticeable.
It's not on land though. This is in the Congo River basin.
Wait, in the basin, but it's still. I mean, it's jungle and everything.
Jungle and lots of lakes and deep rivers. Lake Tissé, or Tillé, Lake Tillé. My bad. Is where it's based out of. So there's a lake. I disagree with you. I think that's 10 times more credible than Loch Ness. Because of the location. The Congo is impenetrable prehistoric rainforest. Hasn't changed in millions of years anyway. To some degree. I mean, obviously deforestation, human intervention, whatever. At the heart of it, at the core of it, it's still a deep, impenetrable, prehistoric, primordial place. And if you're going to find a dinosaur in the modern world, that's where you're going to find it. romantic as it may sound, practically it makes about as much sense as it does romantically to me. I think that there's a lot more to Mycelium Bembe than a lot of other cryptids. There is an Argentinian dinosaur legend that I wanted to discuss tonight as well. I wanted to knock them both out, but because it's got to fuck off early anyway, it's probably better that we save that for another night.
Okay.
But to me, this one, I think it could have been true in the past, but now it's just who the fuck knows and kind of who cares. But it's a cool story, ain't it? And that's what we're about here on SOS, is cool, probably BS stories. But Andres' stories are always legit. But we don't always care about those as we put in the title. No, I'm kidding. I cared about all tonight. All mostly Godzilla shit tonight. That was pretty cool. Huh?
Yeah. You'd be surprised what can happen within the span of 2 weeks.
But all right, boys, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Serizawa podcast. Is there anything anybody has to get off their chest before we head off into that long good night?
Let's see. Be sure to check out my latest review for Rebirth of Mothra 2. I put a lot of hard work into that, along with my friends Brayton and Crooked Productions on both the editing and animation, respectively. In the meantime, I've also got some other podcasts uploaded recently, including one with me and my animator friend Crooked Lord discussing crossovers, and Deadpoolzilla and I discussing our further thoughts, more in-depth thoughts on City Shrouded in Shadow, as well as a new episode of the Shoe Watch podcast that I recently recorded with Chris Martinez and Matthew Denian, the respective creators of the Night of the Fire Beast series and the Atomic Rex novel and other novels that Matt Denian has wrote. And let's see, other than that, also my friend Crooked Lore, he has a web series called Augustine's Crooked Fables, where his characters just satirize whatever popular pop culture topic they decide to talk about. And so he just uploaded the second episode of his web series that focuses on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, in which I had a small voice role in the episode.
That's awesome, man.
Thank you. Yes.
We gotta get this guy on our payroll. No, I'm kidding. Hope that would be. He
wanted to. I remember he said he wanted to do that, and I told you he was interested, and I gave you his email.
Well, I'd love to do that. That sounds awesome. I'd love to be involved in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Get him on our payroll. We need to be on his payroll.
That would be even better. Yeah. I'd love that.
It's like pay us to voice.
I'd love to stop making ice cream and start doing my weird voices for a living.
Pay me to sit at my house and eat Doritos. And do a voice? No, I don't do voices.
Well, I guess if you're going to whore yourself out, I might as well do a little bit of myself. It is my channel, after all. Talking Apes! It's a thing that's coming. War for the Planet of the Apes is released next month. The build-up to it that Dylan and I are going to be doing are commentaries on all of the Planet of the Apes films, and we will be calling it Talking Apes. We've recorded more than half of it, and we're going to record the other half in the ensuing month, and it'll all go up in the week leading up to the release of that film. And then, at the end of that, Dylan, Andres, David, and I will get together and review War for the Planet of the Apes on that episode of the Sons of Serizawa podcast. Whenever we can all get together, of course. And it'll be a good time.
Whenever War becomes home release, we can talk it on Talking Apes.
Indeed.
Which reminds me, pretty soon we're going to have the home release of Kong Skull Island. We'll have to do our addendum to the Week of Kong, another one.
I can't. That's crazy. How quickly that came up. It feels like we just did the Week of Kong.
Yeah.
The world moves so fast nowadays, kids. It keeps spinning and it keeps spinning. Holy shit! I feel like I'm gonna throw up.
Oh, I can't handle the spinning.
Oh shit! So anyway,
shit.
Whose idea was it to evolve life on a giant tilt-a-whirl?
Until next time, everyone, I'm Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
I'm SuperDam64.
And I'm Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir. And ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly the way it is. And, oh yeah, I'm the guy who sets trends even if nobody follows them.
The science is sound. I did it very aggressive because I'm always so unsure. This time I was fucking sure.
Yeah. Yeah.